What causes a human being to gain so much fat? What are the main factors?
So that's if people stop moving. So if people are not exercising enough, not moving enough, if they eat unhealthy kinds of fat, which is processed food these days. So unhealthy kinds of food and too much of it. So there's like, if you don't burn the calories that you take in, it will convert to white fat. And the body is that's how we are built. We want to survive, okay? So that's the body's just built to survive. And because you used to starve, right? At moments we had fasting periods back in the days where we don't have all the food available all the time, but we do today. So the body is calling for food all the time. As soon as you just get, after a few hours, or 4 hours, 5 hours, you get hungry. And the more you actually eat, the more the white cells are sending a signal to the brain that you need to eat, because otherwise you would tear off from the white fat, and you need that kind of storage. So the white fat is actually something we need. It's a storage to survive, but we don't need that big a storage, right?
Right.
Yeah, so we try to figure out how can we lose weight, but not with any more drugs, because in my opinion, we have enough pills in the world, even for obesity and for type 2 diabetes. We also need to think about how can we help people not get this obese. So exercise is definitely number one thing that we need to do. But on top of that, it seems that if you use cold and heat therapy, then you can also boost your metabolism even more and top that up. And that's going to also tear off some of the white fat, because you also activate the brown fat. And back to your question, what is the difference between these two tissues? So to say it very short, the white fat is storing your fat in the body, and the brown fat is using the fat in the body. So the brown fat can eat off the white fat.
Interesting. Yeah. So we want more brown fat.
Yes.
And we want the brown fat to be healthier, it sounds like, or more efficient,
yeah,
so that it can burn the visceral white fat from our body. And I think I'm hearing you correctly that the internal fat that's in our organs or inside of us sounds to be more dangerous than the external fat that's on the outside. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
We can't see that, right? It's internal,
no,
but it affects our organs, our hearts, our digestive system, I'm assuming, all these different things to be efficient in our body or inefficient. So we could have a little fat on the outside, but a lot of fat on the inside and still be not well. Is that right?
That is well. That is so true. And actually, if you start being inactive, that is the first place around your inner organs where the white fat will put itself. So you cannot maybe see it at once that you're getting fatter, but you can maybe see that your fitness level is going down. And you can see that you are maybe also getting more out of breath easier if you do a run or something like that. That is telling you that you are not as fit as you were before. And correlating with that is increase in white fat. And it starts around your inner organs, which is the most dangerous kind of fat storage, you can say. And then it also puts, as you said, on the outside.
Excess, on the outside.
Yeah.
So when you were doing these interventions and studying cold therapy and heat therapy, what was it about cold therapy that was a big aha for you when you started to either apply it with case studies and with yourself practicing this? What was the research telling you about the power of cold therapy and activating the brown fat, the metabolism, losing weight, all these different things?
Oh my God, it told me a lot. It told me something on a scientific level, but also on a personal level. Because when I was researching this, reading everything I could around this, doing my own research in it, started also doing winter swimming myself. And that is where I learned how this is actually connected. Because I was reading, how is our physiology affected? How is the biochemistry affected? And I did understand that. And I did understand how is our neurotransmitters activated, and how is the brain, and how is the physiology, and also the psychological effects of this. But when I saw the winter swimmers, it didn't really match what I read. So there was something missing there. And only when I started doing this myself, I understood, it's the connection between what is going on in your physiology and your brain, and that body-brain connection, I felt that suddenly. And also this increase in gratitude, I think it is. Yeah. So when I felt that, I was like, now I understand the happiness afterwards. Why do people go into the water with another mood, but get out in completely another mood? I could not understand it really, but I did when I started doing this myself. I would say it was painful at the beginning, but once you get over that, you increase your pain threshold, that's what you do, then you start to enjoy it, and you can then feel the neurotransmitters you cannot feel them increase, but you feel the effects of it afterwards. And then what you thought about before is not as important or as bad as it was when you go up from the water. So I think that transition I did not understand from the research, but I understood it when I did it myself.
Started doing it yourself, yeah. So you were reading the research, and you didn't make the full connections until you started to apply it yourself and see the actual effects emotionally, mentally, and physically.
Yeah.
Now, what has the science shown us and proven about the power of, getting in the ice? How long should we get in the ice for? How many times a week should we get in for? And when can we start to see the impact and the results of this type of therapy?
Yeah, so there are actually not that much research saying exactly how many times should you do this per week. I'm sure more will come. But in my research, we did do like a protocol for this. We had them note down how much they went into the water, and we tracked them with watches and had them do this kind of diary. So we knew exactly how many times they were in the water, how many seconds.
Wow.
And we also recruited them based on how many times they went into the water. And that was actually based on me not being a winter swimmer myself, and because I didn't want to do something extreme, because I more believe in the, you can say, hormetic effect of cold and heat therapy. Just like exercise, I studied why is exercise healthy. That's because you have this healthy kind of stress. So there's bad stress and healthy stress, and the healthy stress is the acute response. So I was thinking, if we can apply that to my research, saying, okay, we want winter swimmers to only do this very briefly, so not studying those who winter swim for a very long time, but just very brief. Then we recruited people who had done winter swimming for 2 seasons to see how does their brown fat look compared to a matched control group. And when we then watched them swim for a season and measured their brown fat on multiple times, and we tested so many things, we took biopsies and everything. But what we then discovered was that they did 11 minutes of cold water swimming per week in total, but divided on 2 to 3 days. And per day, they went into the water 3 times. So if you divide that out in just minutes, that would be about 1 to 2 minutes each dip, which is not that long.
It's not long.
It's not long. I mean, everybody who is healthy and don't have heart diseases or unregulated high blood pressure, I mean, they can build this up slowly over time, and it's feasible, I think.
Yes.
Even for me, who
Right.
I didn't want to become a winter swimmer because I was afraid of the cold myself. So I was thinking, this is really good because it's actually feasible, and we did actually see that there was a difference between these 2 groups. So 11 minutes per week for the cold.
So 11 minutes per week for the cold. You had one group doing that, and what was the other group? They were just not in the ice at all?
Yeah.
And what were the benefits? How long did it take for them to get benefits, and what were those benefits?